Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Now, I'm sure some of you share this experience. Uh, you pay income taxes. And since I have a YouTube channel, that qualifies as a small business because I do have the YouTube partnership going so that I get paid for the ads that they put on my videos. They put them on anyways, I might as well get a piece. Well, something that I figured out about 10 years ago was that all the things that I did on my channel cost something to do them. If I drive to a antique shop to go shopping to see if I can find some tools to repair to make a video about, I can deduct the expense of getting there. I can also deduct the expense of whatever I buy. Now, not everybody gets to do all these things, so you have to do your own due diligence and check and see that it's going to be something that'll work for you. But it's been something that I talked over with my accountant, and all the things that I'm doing seem to be a legal situation. So, uh, yeah, I have an accountant. I pay him to do my taxes. We're not capable of wading through all the reams of paper required when you have a small business. Uh, and if you don't do it, they end up taking all your money just in taxes. So we found that paying the money at the end of the year for the accountant to do the work ends up with a net gain. One of the things that I've discovered, since I do a lot of driving as Old Sneelock, you've seen me go from garage sales to antique shops to flea markets and just in general drive around the countryside. Every time I drive, I have a little watchdog on my phone that records all the miles that I do. Now, some people may be paranoid about that, thinking that somebody's going to record what you're doing and do something nefarious with the information. I don't know. I've never had a problem with it, but uh, like I said, do your own due diligence. But what I found, I use a program called Everlance. Now, I'm not recommending that you get it. I just, that's what I use. And the reason I use it is I found it about 10 years ago when I first started getting, well, I guess 11 years ago when I first started getting actual money for doing the YouTube channel. And I said, okay, I got to understand this. And if I'm going to run a business, I got to make sense out of it. Because I've owned a few businesses and there's things that'll bite you if you don't pay attention. So Everlance records everything that Google Maps sees me do. In other words, if I have my phone with me, yeah, Google Maps does that. It knows where your phone is every minute of the day. Now, how does it do that? Well, you drive through cell phone systems, and the cell phone is saying, okay, you're closest to this tower, and it can locate you. Also, it can use a GPS to track you. Now, if you're paranoid about that and don't want to do it, I understand. Don't. I'm not doing anything that I got to worry about whether somebody's going to know where I'm at. The only thing that might happen is somebody might say, wow, he's got that wrench at this place. I'll go see them. Well, that's one of the things that I do, anyways. I tell you where I get things so that you'll go support the people that are helping me in my hunt for rusty treasures. Now, one of the other things that it does, since it records every bit of travel that I do, whether it's going to the grocery store or going around being Old Sneelock and looking up things, it also records when I go to the dentist, when I go to the doctor, when I go to the pharmacy. All those things can be deductible. Not saying they are in your case. I'm not an expert. I can't give any advice to do that. But I do know that in my case, I'm able to use that information. And Everlance, at the end of the year, downloads into a form. And I just attach that form to the information that I send my accountant, along with all the receipts for everything that I purchase and all the expenses and everything else. Uh, so I get to deduct the mileage. Now, that was something that I did when I Was an on-the-road salesperson. I kept track of the mileage that I drove and was able to deduct the miles that I used my vehicle for in my business. So that's pretty much standard thing for everybody. And you'd be amazed at how many miles you put on a car or anything. And remember, as long as you're carrying your phone, it doesn't matter how you travel. It records where you went and what you did. And it also documents it so that it's a good way to verify what you've done. Now, my version of Everlance is the free one. And the free one lets me record a certain number of trips each month, and then it resets at the end of the month. Now, I'm not doing as much traveling as I was a while back. When I first got the free version, it had unlimited recording. It just, every time you took a trip, it recorded it. Well, then I think they ran into a situation where it was costing them money to store all the data. So they said you had to pay in order to record everything. And that might have cost me a little bit in the beginning, but I didn't want to take on a subscription. There may be other ones that don't do that. You'd have to, keep telling you all the way through this whole thing, do your own due diligence and understand what you're doing. But if you're running a business, you got to watch all the angles, and you'd be amazed what 1% means to a business. So, if you're looking to get into the YouTube partnership and have videos on YouTube that pay you instead of just being something that you do to tell your friends that you're on YouTube, then it's a good idea to have a way to keep the IRS out of your pocket. Also, since it records medical trips, it'll save you money that you may not even know that you had coming. The big thing that I've discovered is I don't pay attention to where I am all the time, and I never kept track of where I was. When I did it as a business, when I went on a business trip, I wrote down the beginning mileage and the ending mileage. I had a logbook in the car, and I had to keep track of all that because that's how you recorded it. Well, now I don't have to do that. My phone does it. So if you're a busy guy and you're trying to do all kinds of things, you can have a little robot in the background keeping track of where you're at and recording all the expenses. It lets you sort out, Everlance lets you sort out your trips and assign names to them. In my case, when I started out, I was doing consulting work, which meant I drove all over basically the whole continental United States. I went down Louisiana and over to Chicago and up to Lansing and all over the place. So I was using that to record that information. And it let me mark it as consulting expense or YouTube expense. So I could keep track of the two separate businesses because they actually were two sides of the same coin. But in any case, I just thought it's coming up on tax season, and geez, I got to make sure I got that going because I go through once a month and I check all the data and make sure I have everything slotted in the right spots. So if any of this helps you, I'm happy, and just please be careful and make sure you get some understanding of what's going to happen to you when you're doing this. There's always blind spots, and like I said, I pay an accountant to do my income taxes because I have a business and I don't want to do all those reams of paper. It's well worth my time and money because he has saved me money every year. So if you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.